Chloe made $53,000 and generated over 11 million views teaching women how to get their period back as a period recovery coach in just 60 days. In this no BS interview, we discuss how to scale a unique niche on Instagram using one simple funnel and how she did this after taking a 1-year break in her business. Let's dive in. All right, listeners, this is going to be a super unique episode because Chloe is so special to me and just like CCA and the company as a whole, because Chloe actually worked for us for a little bit as a enrollment specialist, a sales closer. And now she sent me a message when she saw my story that I was, filming these podcasts with students. And she's like, Julia, I really want to come on the pod to talk about my success, because even though I didn't, go the typical route that maybe a student would have went through of like, I bought the course and I went through it, working in the company for, 6-7 months and really seeing the ins and outs of how an online education, high ticket online course business runs, she came back and let me know that she did over $53,000 in 60 days when she relaunched her high ticket offer. So we're going to go into the weeds of all of it. But Chloe, I would love for you to kick this off by telling people like what your niche is and what you sell.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. And it technically has been a little bit longer that I've been with CCA because I still do the sales call Q&A every Friday, and that has been amazing. But so I work with girls with eating disorders and exercise addiction, and specifically with girls who have lost their period. So I help them get their period back and heal their relationship to food, and just like go about their health journey in a different way.
Love it. And talk to us about Get Your Flow On Collective. I'm like, I had to take a breath there because it's a tongue twister a little bit. So talk to us about this program. Like, how much is it? What are you teaching people? How long is it?
Yeah, so the Get Your Flow On Collective, the name Get Your Flow On really came because I was like, it's not just getting your period back, it's really actually like getting your flow on in life. So it's really coming back into flow in life, coming back into your intuition, coming back into your seat of power. And so in the program, I really kind of run girls through my core curriculum, which is going to help them really rewire their relationship to themselves, to their body, work through any body image things, and then also we dive into helping them heal their relationship to food and then understanding their hormones, how to like rebalance their hormones, if they want to get pregnant, how to then like really prepare for pregnancy and all of that. Um, and then I have also the collective or the community aspect of it,
Mhm.
which is more of that like daily support and reassurance. We go live 2 times a week, but then it's also just like a place for women to come and have like a really safe, open conversation about like their body and their health and like moving through this whole kind of recovery process. And so as of the last past 2 months, the course was at 2,777, but we already are like really kind of booking out here. And so I'm already making adjustments, and we're actually like nearly doubling the price to 4,500 for access for 6 months into the program.
I love this. Okay, we need to unpack so many things here. Like, first of all, I'm geeking out over your offer because I think it's so fantastic and so unique. And as you know, because you've talked to a lot of people who have been on the fence with CCA, considered CCA, like the biggest question we get asked is like, can I still make money if I don't have a make money offer? And I think this was like one of the key reasons I wanted to have you on is to talk about like how not everybody values money as like the thing they want to get from the transformation or from the program. Like something is getting your period back, having a baby. I think I saw in your bio, you've helped like over 70 women get pregnant. Like that is an invaluable transformation. Like you couldn't even put a dollar amount on that. So I want you to kind of talk to the audience about what is that like? Like really being able to sell something high ticket that's not a make money offer. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, totally. And I'm glad you're bringing this up because I did talk to a lot of girls who are entering your program, and they did kind of have that thought process of, oh, I can only make money by teaching others how to make money. And it really just is not true. Like you were saying, like the work that I provide is really helping someone get to where they want to go. And that's what people spend money on. People spend money on, like, I can't do this myself, or I need a faster way to do this. And so I need support in doing that. And this could be for relationships, for calling in your soulmate. This could be for weight loss. This could be for um, moving through anxiety and depression. Like, there are so many different niches that you can, like, make make money for because you were providing a service and a value. And so for me, that was always super, super, super important with my business, was knowing what is the value that I'm giving my clientele, and like what is going to be their kind of their transformational arc. What is like the end goal here? And I think that that has been really the key to my success, is the fact that like people go on my page and they know who I'm talking to, they know what problem I solve, and that allows them to then be like, I want to hire her to work with me.
I love this. And this is kind of making me think that I just want to break the fourth wall with the listeners here, because when you first came to us, you actually inquired about CCA, but you didn't sign up. And then when I put out the application that we were hiring a sales specialist, you were like, yeah, I'm applying. And I was like, why does her name sound familiar? Like, I feel like I just saw you on the calendar one time for an enrollment call. And then we chatted and all the things. So I kind of want you to walk the audience through where you were. Like, oh, I'm thinking about joining CCA. You said no. You came to work with the company. And then you're like, why we parted ways was you're like, I'm ready to go back and like build my business. So can you walk us through that journey and maybe kind of like the key points and shifts you had?
Yeah, 1000%. So I've had my business for about 7 years. And really, I just, like, slapped spaghetti on the wall for the first, like, 6 years, and I was successful, like, heck, I was making 6 figures, like, I was only working for myself, I was very successful, I had sold my course, we got about 180 girls in the program, but then there was a moment where it just stopped working. Mind you, I did not
Mm.
have an understanding of, like, a CRM, like, tracking everyone I was talking to. I didn't even have a contract that I was sending people. Like, I honestly was just like, here I am. I'm super passionate about doing this work, and I'm going to utilize, things like social media, YouTube, and Instagram to try and, get people into my programs. And it worked until it didn't. And I think back in the day, what, in 2020 and 2021, it was a lot easier because not as many people were
Mhm.
like selling courses and coaching and all of that. But then at this point where I was just like, I can't deal with the ups and downs of this. I would have like a 20K month, and I'd have a 2K month, and I'd have a 15K month and a 7K month. And, like, honestly, I just had to have a ton of savings to, like, literally just, like, be my kind of, like, safety net because my business was all over the place. So I eventually got to this point where I didn't have a system for selling, and I also didn't really even have an understanding of, like, how to properly sell someone take them through that whole process. And things just kept on falling through the cracks, falling through the cracks, falling through the cracks. So I got on the call with your team because I was like, ooh, look at this girl. And she talks about business. And I followed a lot of people. Like, I was definitely really invested in like learning about business. And I remember I got on the call and I was like, my little stubborn brain, I was like, "Yep, nope, I'll figure it out on my own. Like, that's it. I'll figure it out." And I wanna be very clear here with the listeners, I did not figure it out. I actually just I actually took my 180K business and I turned it into a 40K business. That was really fun, all because I wasn't continuing to get the mentorship and the guidance that I needed to actually learn all of the tools and the systems that I needed to learn to really keep up with, you know, 2024, with like our
Mhm.
day and age, with what's going on, everything shifting and changing. So I was stubborn and I was like, I'll figure it out. I was like, thank you for the free information. I'm going. And yeah, I really got in my head. I think that's the number one thing with entrepreneurship. You can get in your head really easily. And if you're kind of building your relationship, sorry, if you're building your business off of your emotions, then it's gonna be everywhere, and that's very much how my business was built. How was
Mm.
I feeling that day? What am I gonna post today? What's going on? Do I wanna sell today? Do I not? Do I wanna put on a $500 discount? Do I not? It was very just, like, popcorny. And so I ended up, burning my business to the ground, and then Julia had posted that she was hiring, and I was like, "You know what?" I remember I was getting on a call with a client, and I was like, "I'm just gonna do this." I was like, "I'm just gonna send this in." I've never thought about working for someone else, but I was like, "I I should learn from her. I should, like, really see what it's like to build a seven-figure business." And it was in those months that I worked for you that I just had a whole perspective shift on business. And I think seeing just how you kind of built your business from the ground up and the systems that you've put in it behind the scenes was so important for me to see, because I remember, like, the first thing I told my mom when I called her, I was like, "This woman has a business." No, but, like, "Mom, like, she has a business, like, an actual business." It's like she's not just, like, throwing things around. She has a system, she knows, she has her SOPs, her protocols, she knows what she's doing. And that was my first, like, "Holy crap, if I wanna be successful in this, I really need to understand the business side of things," because on the coaching side of things, I'm great at coaching. I've been doing it
Mhm.
for years. I've gotten so much positive feedback. I've worked with over 700 women who've had 72 babies born, literally as of last week. So I was like, I know I'm a good coach, but you could be the best coach in the world and you can have zero clients coming through because you're not good at business.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I ended up working for Julia, and she trained me in the most amazing of ways, how to really run sales conversations, which is really at the crux of your business is, can you close a sale? And yeah, that's just kind of where we took off. Eventually, I was like, I'm really, and Julia knew, I walked in being like, I feel really solid about my business and I want to really grow that. And so eventually I was like, I want to take a different role in CCA and I want to go back full time for me. And I mean, I built this thing solid this time.
Yeah. Oh, I love this story so much. And I think it's one of those things that's like so unique because, like, typically I would not be like, yeah, come work for us and then go do your own thing after and like blah, blah, blah. But there is just something about your energy where, like, I just vibe with you so much. And I was like, okay, like, I know, like, I knew going into it, this isn't going to be forever. But I just felt this like partnership between us where I was like, this could be really good for what it is. And look at what's come from that. I mean,
Mm.
especially now, like, and for anyone listening, and even if CCA clients are listening, like Chloe and I are talking about more ways that she could coach with you guys because we're like we put you in these different seats, like salesperson, coach, and now it's like, ooh, like, you need to get some of those skills under your belt to grow your own business and learn this skill of sales. And now you're even coaching our clients on sales because you absolutely crush it with us. I mean, I tell you all the time, if you ever want a job, you're back. Like, I'll hire you any day. You're awesome.
Oh,
And I think this is so fantastic to see because the one thing I asked Chloe before we got on this recording, I was like, it's like the one thing you want to drive home in this podcast today. And you were like, that I actually started treating my business like a business. And I think most of the clients that end up working with us or the ones that are on the fence and they're like, I don't know, I don't know. It's that switch and that accountability that they have to hold themselves to get to this next level because, yeah, we're the real deal. We're not just like posting on Instagram all day. Like, I maybe spend like 30 minutes a day on Instagram. Like, I'm CEO shit like 25/7. And that's what we're going to teach you here. So, what would you say was kind of like your number one takeaway from the CCA curriculum that helped you earn, over 50K in 60 days?
yeah, I think having a system. Like I said before, there was just zero system. I was just kind of trying to get sales, right? But I didn't have a proper, like, this is how I'm getting people into my inbox. This is how I'm talking to them once they're in the inbox. This is how I'm following up with them. So I think really like what I took away from you, obviously, because also I was in this position, it was the sales side of things. It was how do we actually take a cold lead, turn them into a warm, and then turn them into a hot? How do we make sure we are following up with them properly? Little things that you used to say, like speed to lead, was like, I mean, it's just ingrained in my
Mm,
head. And I now was able to kind of create this whole back end system, which again, and I want to like just really share what was going on in my brain because when I was just trying to run this business, I was like, back end system, what do they mean? You just talk to people and you send them a link. Like, what are you talking about? And I honestly would get really confused and kind of frustrated when people would talk about this. Like, I got my back end systems all set up properly. I'm like, what? Like, what is actually going on
Yeah.
here? But it's a mixture of so many different things to have a really strong back end system in your business where you're not losing leads, drowning in leads, where you're not, ineffectively following up with people. Like you do have to have a really strong back end system. I also think the most kind of like important thing that I learned from you was how to actually not be a friend, but be an authority in the space. And like that was such a huge game changer for me because my DMs, again, like I had a business, my DMs were filled,
Mm.
filled like 100 DMs every single day. And that would kept on coming in. But I would get a lot of the like, hey girl, I absolutely love you. This is so amazing. Yada yada yada. And I would like shoot it back at them and be like, yeah, oh my gosh, amazing. Happy to have you here. And then I would leave it. And I'm like,
Mm.
wow. I did not like feel good about selling. I didn't know how to like get out of the friend zone and get into the
Mhm.
like, I actually have something that can help you. And I
Mhm.
think learning how to manage my DMs and then learning the power of getting them on a call and walking them through that whole process to get them to understand why they need it, that was game changer. Because again, on the back end side, I can figure out my offer, I can figure out how to
Mhm.
coach people. But I really needed to know how to take people to the point of being able to say yes to coaching with me.
And that's something we're really honing in on right now at CCA is like we want to work with people that already are like the expert at what they do, right? Like you were saying, you could be the best coach in the world, but if you don't know marketing and sales and you can't get clients, doesn't matter because it's like they're not gonna like they always say don't judge a book by its cover. You could have the greatest book, but if the cover is not good, they're not gonna open it, they're not gonna get the value, they're not gonna read it. Same thing with high ticket coaching offers. So I guess what I want to hear from you is like, what would be your best sales tip? I think this is a fun question. What would be your best sales tip for someone who's maybe in your shoes, like 2023, beginning of 2023, Chloe, that was like, I am not selling this thing. I want to burn it all to the ground. What would you tell that person right now? What is the very first tactical thing they should be doing?
To join the sales call Q&A every Friday. You'll get me like every month, every week, every
Every
month, and we can
week.
dive into that. No, I mean, I laugh when I say that, but also like learning sales is a whole process. And I can give you a tip in a second here, but I do want to make it clear that it takes a lot of experience and a lot of understanding and a lot of learning. And again, I
Mhm.
think just a lot of entrepreneurs when they're trying to like build and grow on their own, they're just not dedicating that time to actually learning like this skill set, which
Mhm.
is unfortunate because then they lose out on all of these clientele. But like it really does take like every week dedicating time to actually learn these skills, which is why I think joining a program like CCA is really like helpful because you're giving yourself this season, this like container to actually build this skill set up and to be taught by like I mean Julie is absolutely amazing, Coach Terry is absolutely amazing, like we have so many people in this system that's there to really support you and then the training in and of itself is going to help you. But as far as one little tip that I can give people here, this is by far my favorite one because this is an objection that I get like way too much. I always get the like I just need to think about it. And I think previous me, without having the understanding of sales, I'd be like, "Yeah, oh my gosh, totally, go think about it." Like, hoping that they were
I'll
gonna
just wait
leave and, like
forever.
yeah, they're gonna leave and they're gonna get in their mind or they're gonna be like, "Yeah, I'm so excited to, like, spend this money to invest in this." Like, no, people usually enter the zone of doubt. People start talking to people talk them out of it and all of that. And again, you have to be a business where you really believe in your stuff. I'm not
Mhm.
trying to, sell snake oil here. Like, I genuinely am trying to help people. And so I want people to be able to feel empowered to say yes. So when people will throw that at me, like, I just got to think about it. One of my favorite responses that has been effective that I've used is totally understand. I hear that. if I can just like rewind a little bit and go back to what you were saying in the beginning, you're telling me that you've been actually going through this whole process for the last 7 years and you've been thinking about recovery for the last like five. So at this point, do you feel like you need more thinking or do you need more action? And that will like stop them every time. And they'll be like, oh, action. Be like, great. I'd love to like break down anything with you to help you make an empowered decision today on this call as to whether you want to join this or not. And it's
That's a
like
good one.
those little, like, holding that conversation at the end and, like, not just letting them run off and be like, "Oh, they got scared." So, like, "Goodbye."
Yeah.
Instead being like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, I'm actually not triggered here. I wanna help you make an empowered decision, so let's work through whatever smoke screen is coming up that makes you just say, 'I wanna think about it.'"
So solid. And I love this because I think this is where like my anger and passion intercept of like why women need more business and sales knowledge and skills and acumen because like the coaching industry is so skewed of just like let people make empowered decisions. So let them go sit in their fear and limiting beliefs and blah, blah, blah. But I think what you just shared, what you've learned, like I'm like proud mom moment over here. Like, hell yeah, like this is amazing. But what you just shared is like the thing that more women in sales, coaches, CEOs, online education company owners need to do. Because if you just say, okay, girl, go think about it, like maybe the old version of you as a coach would have done that. You're doing a disservice to the person who's right in front of you because you just let their limiting belief stand in your way. And it's like, sales is such an art. I was diving into some sales training actually before this because I'm always continuing my knowledge and education. And it was basically something about like internal and external urgency, where it's like that internal urgency is what you need to overcome on the call. The external urgency, like maybe in your niche, the people feel like the clock is ticking and they can't get pregnant after a certain age. Like those are things that you really can't control, right? But the things that you can control, we need to get the prospect over that edge and get them to walk themselves to the solution. And those make the best clients. And I'm sure you've gone through this. I've gone through this. Anybody in sales has gone through this, where it's like, if we don't get them over that internal urgency and they buy, they don't end up being good clients because they have to find the solution for themselves. They have to walk themselves to that checkout link.
Yeah, I've actually had a big, like I've been really taking that in, that understanding in this last past 2 months of really being like, "I need you to say yes and be a full embodied yes." And I
Mhm.
make that very clear, and it's actually almost a powerful kind of shift when you do that, when I'm like, "I'm not needy for clients over here." And even if you, quote, unquote, "are needy," like you need clients, it's so important to step away from that because 'cause I'm like, I don't want a bunch of people in my program where this isn't gonna work, where they're gonna ask for a
Mhm.
refund, where, like, X, Y, and Z is gonna happen. Like, I want to help them get to that moment on the call where they're like, Sure, I have a little fear. This is a stretch, right? This is a stretch. This is scary, but like I am a yes. I want to get them to that point instead of like trying to find a sleazy way to just get their
Mm.
card information. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And this is so good because it's like this is why I have like a love-hate relationship with like sales training and sales coaching and stuff like that, or like sales specific niches. Cause like, yes, we all need to learn sales. It's a skill that we all need to learn. But at the same time, like you don't want to have like ego stand in the way. And that's what I ask myself on every sales conversation. Is this my ego trying to win the sale? Or like, can we actually help this person and get the result? And anytime I'm in that decision making mode, that is what always brings me back. And I ego check myself like 24/7 in my personal life, in my business, on my sales calls, and my coaching. Like when you can ego check yourself, where it's like, I know I could do like crazy objection handling here and get them to buy, but that's not the goal here. And this is something that, like, I would drill this down with the sales team. Like, do not just try to get the sale. Like, I know, right? You're going to, like, if you eat, I eat, right? It's a commission based role. But at the end of the day, you don't want the chaos that comes with getting somebody who didn't walk themselves to the solution. And every single time, it's not worth it.
No, it's so not, and then it shifts your mood and your energy as an entrepreneur, and I've been, like, bringing this even into the sales call Q&As on Friday. I've been bringing in a lot more the idea of, like, your nervous system as an entrepreneur. It's so important that we make sure that we're standing in integrity. It's so important that we make sure that we're not, like, throwing our energy around in places that, like, aren't good, like, throwing it into this
Yep.
ego-based sales and all of that, because that ends up just shifting you and the product that you provide and ends up just making your business feel a little icky. So instead, it's like learn
Mhm.
the skills, have the mastery of being able to walk people through all of their objections and to powerfully kind of help them walk themselves into the program. And also remember that you're a human and you have another human on the line.
Yep.
I'll share Julia here. I remember this call, it was last December that I had with someone who was inquiring about CCA. And there was just so much resistance, and my mom it's funny, my mom was listening to the call because I was home for
Yeah.
Christmas. There's so much resistance going on, and I finally was like, "You know, I have to be honest here. I just feel like this isn't the right time for you. I feel like you got a lot of things going on. You don't have clarity in the offer. I would really recommend," I give her some ideas. I
Mhm.
was like, "I would really recommend, focusing on this, doing this." And she just kind of like, because I energetically shifted instead of like, let me try and objection handle. I was like, you know what? Actually, when I really get in my heart of heart, like, I don't know. I don't know if you're ready. I don't know if this is
Mhm.
it. I took such a huge step back and she took 5 steps forward. She paid in full. I remember that, and I remember my mom being like, "How on earth did you close her?" Because she was so closed off. She was so confused. She was so, like, everywhere. But, like, me having that, like first off, she was a good fit. So if she really
Mhm.
truly wasn't ready, I would have been like, "No, you really aren't, like, ready. We're not
Yeah.
gonna offer you an invitation to the program." But I knew she was. She just had so many blocks that were coming up for her. So I was just like, okay. And that's where you're at. And that's totally fine. And I'm going to honor that that's where you're at. And then she was like,
Mm.
wait, but I don't want to be there. I'm like, I know exactly.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. She's like, okay, wait. So you're telling me that this is going to help me get to where I want to go. I'm like, yeah, yeah, it is.
Yes, that is so powerful. It's like the law of detachment, right? It's funny because like I think subconsciously I attract very spiritual people to CCA. I mean the name, but also like because that's how my journey in business started as like a manifestation coach. And I bring that into also every call that I do, detachment, detachment, detachment. And I think the minute you drop into that and you're like, I don't need you, but if you want to come hang out with us, you are more than welcome. That is what really shows you this person wants to be here. It's like dating, right? Where it's like if you pull back and you're like, hey, like something ain't feeling right here, and they pull in, they want it. They want to be a part of it. Maybe they had their guard up, they had their ego up, they didn't know if they could trust you. But the minute like we go with like brute force, it never ends well. So I'm happy that you share that kind of note on detachment.
Yeah, well, and then you end up burning the bridge. So I've had a lot of people show a lot of interest in my program in the last 2 months, right? And not everyone has said yes. And that was
Yeah.
actually very, very important. And I want to thank you, Julia, for being so great while I did work for you. Is anytime someone was a no, and I'm like sitting here being like, no, they were no, I'm so attached to it, right? You would be like, okay, what could we have learned? What do we need to send as a follow-up? You'd be very like you keep it in a positive energy, and that was super, super important, and I even talked to my mom about this. She runs a seven-figure, multi-seven-figure company with my dad, and she was like, "Chloe, when I was in the beginning of our company and I was on the phones with people," she was like, "I would go until I got 20 no's in a row." She's like, "Once I got
Mm,
20 no's, I could stop from the day." But she was like, "I understood that no's were going to happen, and that's okay." And when
mm,
we can step into the sales process knowing that no's are going to happen, then we don't get so triggered when a no happens, which means that we're now in detached energy. Now our nervous system's calm. Now people trust us a lot more. And now we can set up a solid follow-up system. Maybe we give them something of value. Maybe we send a, note to reach back out in 3 weeks,
mhm.
but now we, like, haven't burned the bridge with that person. because
Yep.
sometimes people aren't ready and you can't force them to be. You can help them if they're really there, you can help them unblock as much as possible. But sometimes the best thing you can do is, I'm sensing that this is feeling like a lot. I'd love to get on a call with you in 2 weeks. And just like
Yes.
bring that space, but you gotta have that like calm nervous system as an entrepreneur to do that. And I think running through what 40 calls a week for you, like I definitely learned to just like allow the space and to let go and to allow there to be a ton of no's.
Love that. And it's so powerful because as salespeople, as coaches, we always have to play the long term game. And I honestly always think about my relationship with Marcos because that man's played the long term game for like 7 years.
Stop
Like,
it. Was it that long? Oh my gosh.
yes, like we met in college in what year was that? Like 2016. And we didn't start dating till 2021. So 17, 18,
Wow.
19, 20, 21. Yeah, like 5 years. Okay, 5 years. But he asked me out like in 2017 and I ghosted him. I ghosted him. And then he kept, dropping his seeds. Like he's like Snapchats me, sends me a DM, sends me a text, like for years. I only went on a date with him in 2021. Like
It's so
years, and
funny.
like, we joke about it all the time, and it's funny because like, he actually bought me these flowers that you see right here for Valentine's Day, and they're like $400 or $500 flowers, and they're these flowers that last forever if nobody knows them and you're watching on video. But when he bought them for me, like, he went into debt. Like, he literally went to like bank account zero to buy me these flowers for like $400 or $500. Like, we both started at zero, like nothing. And it was funny because he was like, I was playing the long term game. It was our first
Yeah.
date. I knew you had high standards, and I knew that I had to make a financial investment into this relationship. And he's like, I knew that it would evoke a memory that like you would remember forever from like our first date. And like, that's the long term game. So by no means am I saying go into debt, but at the end of the day, sometimes you take out a loan for your business. Like, that's okay. Like, you're going to make millions. That's fine. But you have to think about too, like, it's not just so short term. And I think, especially for CCA, like, it's hard because it's like, oh, I invest this money. Now I have to get this result in this certain amount of time. But when we can just say, like, okay, I'm investing in learning a skill, putting my focus, my dedication to build a system, to build a process over 90 days, you're in this for a lifetime, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
I think you are a great example of playing the long term game because for you, playing the long term game actually looked like taking on a role within a company to now get to where you are now. And I think that is setting your ego aside and being like, I am a student of life. And this is how I know you're always going to be so successful.
I like absolutely loved what you just said of playing the long-term game because that was the shift that I had once I met you. Whereas like this isn't just a like get rich quick scam. This isn't like a let's just try and see if I can get 15 clients this month. I really am looking at like this is my business, this is my baby. And I want to have
Mm,
this for the next however many years until I have kids. But even when I have kids, I'll probably still have it running in the
yeah.
background. So I'm like, okay. It also like knowing the long-term game allows me to feel comfortable with taking the step back and going,
Mm,
"This isn't the month for me bringing in revenue." And, like, there are those moments in your business where you're like, "I gotta restructure, I gotta replan." That was my 8 months with you, whereas, like, I need to completely restructure my business. I need to, like, get rid of every client I have. I gotta completely start at new. And, like, I could have been really afraid about taking that big step back, but I knew that, like, grappling forward in the way that I wasn't going to get me the results that I wanted. So I took the 8 months off. I like
yeah.
reset my whole like energy towards my business and then was like, okay, now I've gotten enough of the training, enough of the
Mhm.
skill set to be able to like move forward. Kind of reminds me, I spent in the beginning of the year, I spent 15K on a relationship coach. Am I in a relationship yet? No. But I'm 30 years old and that's the next season of my life. And I'm not sitting here going, I like hate that I spent $15,000 on that coach. I'm like, I feel so much happier. I feel more in tune to myself. I feel so ready for like that type of partner to come in. when it's ready. And like, so when you invest in things, I think it is important to not have that energy of I'm just in here to make my money back. Rather, I'm here to truly learn about me, about business, about how I function, about higher level skill sets.
Hmm.
And I know that there will be a day where that pays off.
I love it. I'm so inspired by you, Chloe. I appreciate this conversation so much. And to really just like land this plane and drive this home, what would be your best piece of advice to that one person on the fence right now of joining CCA? What is one piece of advice you'd want them to hear right now?
Hmm. Wow, there's so many. Let me sit with that for just a moment. I'm thinking back to that version of me who was on the fence. I'll say this, because this is what I'm learning right now in so many different areas of my life. Like, investing is key to moving forward, and I think the reason why my business got stagnant was because I didn't invest. I wasn't investing in things, so I wasn't learning the higher skill set to be able to maintain my $180,000 year. Like, I couldn't maintain that because I just didn't understand because I wasn't getting myself in bigger rooms. So, again, long-term view here. Can you continually be investing in the things that are going to be necessary for you in that moment? So right now you might be like, I don't know how to run a sales call. I don't know how to get quality leads into my DMs every single day. I don't understand how to have automations, in my back end and having a CRM. If that's the case right now, and you like don't understand how to get quality leads and how to sell them, then CCA is going to be a perfect kind of investment for you in this season. Later on, as Julia knows, she continues to invest. I continue to invest. Later on, you might be like, I really need someone to help me with managing a team. I'm going to invest in that. And it's going to go on and on and on and on and on. But you can't see investing as something that's taken away. Rather, you got to see it as like, this is actually a relationship that I'm going to have with investing for the rest of my life, whether that be in my
Mm.
business or in my relationships, investing in therapy, investing in coaching. Like, I think if you want to get ahead in life in this day and age, having that mentorship is a no-brainer. And the people that are being left behind, that are trying to sell their courses and they're like, I have only sold one this year for $200, it's on a $500 discount. Like, and it's no shade, absolutely no shade, but it's just understanding like if you're not getting the higher level skill sets, you're actually not going to be growing because there's so many people who are that you gotta know how to run through this process. I had someone the other day, literally straight up, she paid me $4,000 in full. And she looked at me and she was like, well, you're great at this. And she's like, I've never had this happen before. She literally, I followed up with her. I followed up with her. I got her on a second call. I did all these things. And then she ended up complimenting me on my sales process. And she's like, no one's like taking this much time and attention for me. And I'm like, yep, paid in full, $4,000 in one day. But that's because in my case, I kind of invested in a different way. I invested my 8 months of like working under Julia, my time and my energy and everything, putting my business on hold. That was my quote unquote investment, was being like, okay, I gotta move forward and I'm not gonna be able to figure it out on my own and trying to piece together Googling stuff. Like I actually need accountability.
Chloe, I'm so touched, honored, inspired, proud. Like the list goes on. I'm seriously so proud of you. I'm so grateful to even still have you on the team in this different capacity, like seeing the ins and outs, now doing this podcast with you. Like I'm so inspired, and it kind of reminds me of the last thing I want to close up with is this quote that I put on Threads this morning. And it was basically like, if you get complacent in business, welcome to the club. But if you stay complacent in business, the market will eat you for
Oh,
breakfast.
it's exactly that. Oh, it's exactly that. Like, that's a great way to sum it up. But, like, I can speak from experience that that is exactly what happens.
Yes,
Exactly what happens.
the comfort zone, right? And it's like, it's interesting because I am now at this point in the business where it's like we're scaling from 7 to 8 figures. And
Whew.
the comfort zone is there, right? Like I have a house, I have a great net worth, I have a great partner, I got a puppy, like I got all the boxes checked. I feel really happy. And like I kind of went through this season when I moved into the house in August where I was like, I'm feeling complacent. Like I'm feeling happy and still. And like it scared me a little bit. And I was like, I don't want to lose my momentum and my drive and my like hunger to grow and my growth mindset. And I realized that I actually didn't have the infrastructure to get to my next level, which is
Mm.
actually what you were feeling when you started to work with us was like, I don't have the infrastructure to, let alone sustain a 180K year business, but I also don't have the infrastructure to grow it to the next level. And you invested, right? You said your time in learning how to build this. And this is what we want to help people do is like, we want to help them build systems so that they don't ever like fall or stay on that hamster wheel that sometimes business presents itself to be, where it's like, I've been in my own hamster wheel where like we've been at the same income level for 13 months. And it's like that consistency, that sustainability, like it's not a bad place to be. Plenty of people would be very happy with 100K a month profit as a CEO. Like, come on, that's badass. But at the same time, like, how do we break that glass ceiling and get to our next level? And to really sum this all up, it sounds like you shatter that glass ceiling
Yeah.
and now you're on to the next and the next. And our people can definitely expect to see more of you because you're absolutely crushing it. And you're crushing in your own business, but you're helping the CCA students so much.
Oh, yeah, and I love being there. And I want to say just one more thing, Julia, just to really like hone this in for the listeners. I did this emotional intelligence training this last September, and I got to meet, or not September, sorry, spring. I got to meet so many amazing entrepreneurs. I'm in a room with like people who are like 150 million net worth, like
Mm,
insane. There's this one guy, he's 65 years old, and he's run over like 57 companies. His net
wow.
worth is too high. I can't even like put a number to it, honestly. And we did this little exercise, can't go into it, but pretty much you had to choose someone for something. And he didn't choose me. So I asked him, I was like, hey, I'm really curious, like, why you didn't choose me? And he was like, because you're playing too small and it's not going to survive. And I was like, oh, but here's this guy who's like
Oh,
serial entrepreneur. And he was like, you're doing amazing work. He was like, but if you stay at this level, you're gonna get eaten. And it totally happens, right? So if you stayed at this level, it would slowly start eating away into 80K months and a 75K months. It
mm,
starts slowly kind of coming down. You start losing it. And he saw me and he was like, you're doing great work, but your vision's way too small and you're capping yourself and you're like, I
mm.
couldn't choose you because of that. And this is coming from someone who's built millions and millions of dollars. And I think it's so important. And it is kind of that you get into the complacency for too long and you end up just getting eaten up and it ends up destroying itself.
Damn, that is so perfect to end this episode with. Chloe, thank you so much. Where can people find you if they want to learn about Get Your Flow On and all the amazing work you do for women?
Yeah, if you're someone who's ever gone through a troubling relationship with food or body, then you can follow me on Instagram at Flow with Chloe. And also, I am on YouTube as well, but Instagram's a great place to connect.
Love it, Chloe. We'll make sure to link it all in the description. Thanks so much for coming on. And who knows where we'll be a year from now because you started just a year ago, which is crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Thanks for listening, guys.